As the old idiom goes, there are two things in life that are certain: death and taxes. But whoever came up with that phrase clearly was never a Sega fan. There are actually three things in life that are certain: death, taxes, and Sega milking the shit out of old franchises. Seriously, some of these Sega franchises have been milked more than the cow on old McDonald's farm. Oh look, a new console. Better re-release a Sega Genesis compilation. Should we add unique games that haven't seen the light of day in over 30 years to this? Nah, fuck that. Stick with the usual. Let's see here. Sonic the Trilogy. Oh yeah, and Columns. Columns is kinda like the cute girl that you were friends with in high school, but never hooked up with. At the time, you had some good times in the 4 years that you guys shared together, but you never considered her being a part of your future when it was time to move on to the next thing. But decades later, when hindsight is 2020, when nostalgia is stronger than Bo Jackson's thighs, you start to realize that you had something special back then. Something you should have paid more attention to. Something that you should have not taken for granted. Something that was a gem? Oh god, I'm sorry. I had to, man. The pun was too obvious. Come on, you knew it was coming. Anywho, fast forward to the present day, and it's becoming a running joke how Sega has held on to so many staple franchises, like Frodo holding onto the Ring of Power while walking through Mordor. And the same holds true for the column games on the Sega Genesis. But honestly, I can see why this game keeps lingering around and showing up on newer generation compilations. This game is amazing! Sure, it's not in the same category as Sonic the Hedgehog 2 or Streets of Rage 2, but it's impossible to talk about Sega Genesis without mentioning Columns. Unfortunately, the series never really advanced past the Sega Genesis except for a few handheld titles. I mean, I guess that makes sense though. How many times can you remake a game like Tetris? It's like Disney remaking their old animated movies. Oh cool, Lion King is gonna be CGI this time, not hand-drawn. Man, get the fuck out of here with that shit. The game Tetris needs absolutely no introduction. Released in 1985, the game revolutionized and popularized the puzzle game genre and became one of the greatest video games of all time. It pretty much sold the Game Boy. Ironically, a port of Columns was the first pack-in for the Sega Game Gear, but, as we all know, the success of Tetris did not translate well for the Game Gear's version of Columns. Oh well. Next time, don't make a portable handheld that drains a battery quicker than a 10-year-old smartphone. But as we all know, imitation is the most sincerest form of flattery. When it comes to video games, great success comes with an avalanche of clones, with Columns being one of the most popular ones for Tetris. But don't be fooled, this is no simple Tetris knockoff. No. This is something more, something bigger, something possibly better? Okay, maybe not better than Tetris, but you get the idea. My first experience with Columns came with the Sega Six-Pack. Yes! Columns was on a compilation even on the Sega Genesis. Now, if you didn't know, the menu screen for the Sega Six-Pack came from, yeah, you guessed it, Columns. Check it out. But nothing beats Clotho. This song is ingrained into my soul. Play this song at my funeral while squeezing my jewels, please. Like most well-made puzzle games, the gameplay is beyond addictive, but it's simple at the same time. Anyone with an IQ higher than 69 can figure out what to do quicker than I can last with Salma Hayek. I mean, this game is as simple as it comes. After a column lands, if 3 or more of the same symbols are connected in a horizontal, vertical, or a diagonal line, those symbols disappear, just like in Tetris. Occasionally, a special column with a multicolored magical jewel appears on the arcade mode on the medium and hard levels. It destroys all the jewels with the same color as the one it touches. Just like in Tetris, the columns fall at a faster rate as the player progresses, and the goal of the game is to play as long as possible before the screen fills up. I mean, come on, man. This is like Tetris. It's not quantum physics we're talking here. Oh, and a fun fact about columns, the highest score you can get is 99,999,999 points. I mean, come on. Has anyone ever achieved that before? If you have, please, for the love of God, save some vag for the rest of us. Arcade mode is just what you would expect, high score madness. Start at the easy level in my opinion, so you can get on a good groove. The medium level starts at level 5 and it just starts way too fast in my opinion. Well, I mean, unless you're a seasoned pro. Under menu is two modes, original game or flash columns. Two-player mode is available and it's awesome. You can battle it out against your buddy or take on the computer as a team. Just remember, novice you can play with jewels of 4 colors, amateur you can play with jewels of 5 colors, and pro you can play with jewels of 6 colors. And if you don't own this game, well, guess what? Then you can play with my 2 blue jewels that are itching to meet your chin. Overall, this game is a masterpiece in my opinion, an absolute must-own for Sega Genesis fans. But don't worry, like I said before, any one of those 100 plus Sega Genesis compilations that are floating out there in the wild for every single modern console most likely has this game on it. Shit, even if you're watching this video to see if you want to pick this game up, chances are you probably already own a version of this and don't even know it. Look, if you're a fan of Tetris or any tile matching puzzle game like Dr. Mario on the NES, playing this game is a no-brainer. If you've never played this game before, you owe it to yourself to play it at least once in your life. This is a piece of gaming history. It is a classic. Sure, it may not be as classic as Tetris, but it's just as fun and challenging. This game has aged like a fine wine, and the replay value will continue to stack up as the years go on.